Banners and Binnies in the diaspora. Today, our featured guest from the Karna is not only an award-winning journalist, a university professor, and a published author, but he hails from the historic village of Mocha, East Bank Demerara, Guyana, South America for our
That's
foreign
right.
audience. Absolutely. His recently published book titled ROCKLANDHEART Revisited. Let's see the copy. My copy is right here. All right. Make sure fans can see it. It's a compelling love story with many provocative cultural and spiritual storylines that Guyanese and readers in general in the diaspora can relate to. And it's available on Amazon for preview and purchase. And we'll give you some specific details after the show and on the Karna's Facebook page. All right? Brother Jadova, welcome to the Karna. What's going on, buddy?
Welcome to the Karna. I there, Banner. I there doing my thing, man. You know,
All right,
just answering to JAH calling.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's what's up. Now, for the big money question from the Karna, who is George JAH Dover?
One half a foot banner you don't want to mess with.
Half a foot, I tell you. I hear the word of a long time, boy. I love that answer, man. I will remember that. I will remember that. Now, tell the fans about your Guyanese roots and your upbringing.
Okay. Well, as you just mentioned, I was born in Mocha, Arcadia. And I like to add the Arcadia because many people omit the Arcadia. And, you know, it's two villages that came together as one.
Ah,
so I
that's
was
good to know.
I was born in Mocha, Arcadia, primarily in Arcadia, but since you know everybody relate the two together, Mocha, Arcadia.
So but when I say Mocha, I'm not saying it right. If I say Mocha, it should be Mocha.
Mocha is good. Mocha is the Karna word.
Okay.
You know, Mocha is the word. Since we're in the Karna, it's Mocha.
Yeah,
as a matter of fact,
okay.
if you were to ask any of my colleagues with whom I study in Cuba about George Dover, they probably may not even know me. But you ask them, yo, you know Mocha? Yes, we know Mocha.
Oh, so I see. So, you know, when I came to Georgetown, I went to St. Rose's High. I played football with Santos. And you know what my name was? Barbies.
There we go. There we go. There we go.
If I'm in Georgetown and somebody said Barbies, I know it's a tongue banner I played ball with, you know?
Boom. So, it's a badge of honor that we wear.
Man. Absolutely.
Well, I was born in Georgetown Hospital.
Right.
But from birth, I grew up in Mocha until I was 17. I have lived nowhere else. Out in Guyana, I've lived nowhere else but in Mocha.
Gotcha. All right.
You see? So, now my father's maternal lineage.
Yes.
One of the four founders, is one of the four founders of Mocha Village.
What's the name? Give me a name.
The Lane, originally the Lane.
The Lanes, okay.
Right.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm.
But the family is the Lane and the Ramsey and the Hectors. That's one family, one bloodline with different last names because, you know, people marry out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got the female in the family, they're married to someone, they get another name and so on and so forth.
There we go. And that's how it was in my case. My grandmother, the Ramsey's grandmother, and the Hector's grandmother are three sisters.
So how about the schools you attended in as a youngster and then in high school?
I have to give credit first and foremost to my kindergarten teacher, Teacher Joni.
Nice.
Who is still vertical.
Nice.
And I can't wait for the day when I go back home to go give her a hug, a big hug, and thanking her for the dedication and the time she put in to start laying that educational foundation for me outside of my family.
Wonderful, wonderful.
So the kindergarten school I attended is Teacher Joni's kindergarten school. Then I went to Mocha Primary School for about 2 years.
Okay.
After kindergarten. But I was a manish man.
Manish. That's a nice Karna word, boy. Manish.
So things didn't work out there.
Okay.
So So my mom took me out from there and sent me to Wilson Primary School in Macdoom on the east bank of Demerara.
Yes, okay.
Right.
So
So
give me some teachers at Macdoom that had an influence on you that you remember.
well, one of the things one of the teachers I had while I attended Wilson Primary School in Macdoom was actually someone from my own village, someone who watched me grow up from birth.
Yes, yes.
And her name is Jasmine Luke. I don't know if
Yes.
she's married, if she's married and has a different last name, but her maiden name is Luke.
So we can call her Teacher Jasmine.
Right, definitely Teacher Jasmine.
Teacher Jasmine.
So I was lucky to attend a private school outside of my village, but still have a teacher from my village.
Wonderful. That's almost like a second set of parents, you know.
There we go, and it made a big difference. But at the same time, I was still a manishma.
You're still, but you got to be you, you know. You got to be you know.
Yeah, and I say that in the sense that I've always been curious, and as a child, there was no if, buts, and maybes about my wanting to become a writer.
Okay,
in fact, I like to say to people when they ask me why I chose to become a writer or why I chose to become a teacher, I always say to them, I didn't choose. I was born who I am.
You mentioned being mannish, right? So that means that you got some good small days stories. So share one of your small days mannish stories with the Karna.
As a matter of fact, it's interesting because I have 2 collections of short stories that have already been published.
Okay.
And I have 2 collections of poetry. Nice. And one of my collections of all my short stories are about my childhood. As a matter of fact, when I was doing my master's program at Stony Brook up in Southampton, one of my professors, great man, in fact, you can look him up, Roger Rosenblatt.
Okay.
He's there, his name is right there on the cover of the page, of the book.
Of the book, okay.
Right. On the back of it, Roger Rosenblatt.
Yeah, okay. See it.
And you see what he says? You see what he says there at the top of the cover, what he says?
Yeah, you have the gift of creating art out of your birthplace.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Definitely. So
absolutely.
I write a lot about my childhood experiences. So to answer your question, after I left Wilson School, because I was so curious, I would duck classes and walk to Georgetown and explore Georgetown.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Oh, you see?
Did that affect your grades?
Well, it affected everything. It affected my behind because it took some skin off after I got some good lashes.
I tell you. So at some point you have to kind of curb that curiosity, right? You have to rein it in.
Right. We have to curb that curiosity, curb it. You have to restrain it. But it's a strong curiosity because the writer in me would not settle for anything else.
Gotcha.
I used to hear all these talks about Tiger Bay and our boys' tongue being these ghettos and bad places.
Right.
And the writer in me wanted to explore that firsthand.
Yeah, and it comes out in your writing because one of the things I admire, and we'll get to the book, is the detail with which you describe the scenery, the cane fields, the birds, the sounds. And it definitely reflects that curiosity that you're talking about, because
definitely
curiosity means that you're paying attention to detail.
There we go.
Absolutely.
We go. So still answering the question as to one of the management moments.
Yeah.
Getting away, ducking classes and going to Georgetown and exploring and memorizing certain things. The headmistress found out. The headmistress for Wilson. She found out. And she called me into her office and was about to cane me. And the management in me, I said, I'm not going to take that. So I pushed her. And she just so happened to be standing behind a desk. And she went tumbling right over the desk.
Oh my God. So how old were you then at that time?
About 9, 10.
What? That's very bold for a 9-year-old. I wouldn't
Yes,
dare do
that's what I'm
that.
saying. I'm not
Okay.
gonna, not gonna lie about that. I was managed.
Okay. Ah,
And boy,
wow.
my mom took me back to that school, dropped my pants in front of the class,
Oh my
and gave me
God.
a good whipping.
And that was the last time that happened, right?
Oh, well, I would love to say it was the last time.
Man. There you
But
go.
on top of all that,
yeah.
I knew my place in life. I was blessed to have that consciousness.
Gotcha.
And I knew I was doing wrong, and I knew I had to pull myself together because so much hinged on my being upright, my being not falling through the cracks.
Right. Okay. Gotcha. Now, as far as siblings, how many siblings do you have?
With my mom, I'm the last of my mom's 6 living children.
Okay, so you're the
last
row. You're the last row.
Right, definitely the last, the spy one.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
One sister, in terms of my mom, and 5 brothers.
Okay.
Actually, 4 brothers. Four brothers, including myself. Yeah. My father, men are men.
Yes.
Yeah, so with my father, I have 2 or 3 younger sisters.
Right. Okay.
Right. So, but I'm not into saying that I have half this and half that,
right,
unless I'm talking about the top half or the bottom half or the left half or the right half.
Right. So we're talking about 5 and 3, 8 plus you.
There we go. Okay. 8 siblings.
Yeah. Gotcha. Wonderful. Well, that's good. That's good to know. Now, any one of them that you're closest to, which one would it be? Or was close to? Yeah.
My sister, my only sister with my mom.
Yeah.
I'm very close to her because she's the one I follow.
What's her name?
Her name is Jane Hazel Watkins Dover.
Jane Hazel Watkins Dover. Big shout out to Sister Jane. All right, that's what's up. That's what's up. Again, you're watching the Karna, the show dedicated to celebrating Creole culture and talent through music, poetry, storytelling, and edutainment. And today we're interviewing our guest on the Karna is Brother George JAH Dover, who's an award-winning journalist and the author of the just published ROCKLANDHEART Revisited. I got my copy. Make sure you get yours. Go on Amazon.com. You can search for George Dover. He's got a profile page. He's got more books, but this is his most recent book. And I'm telling you, you definitely want to read this. ROCKLANDHEART Revisited, a novel by George JAH Dover. All right.
Thank you, brother.
So one more.
I noticed you keep leaving out the G.
George G. George. The G and where? The George?
No, when you say JAH, because here what happens. Remember, since we're on the Creole Karna, the Kreolese Karna, growing up, it was always JAH G. Hey, JAH G.
So that's how you got the name JAH.
So it just plays in with it. Hey, JAH G this, JAH G that, man, JAH G. So it's JAH G Dover.
One more Guyanese related question before we get into the book is, what is your favorite Guyanese food?
Pie.
No, this is your last supper. You can only pick this one thing, right? Before you transition.
Oh, you're gonna ask a GT man what is his favorite Guyanese food, man? Well, every Guyanese food is a favorite.
When you're on the Karna, boy, that's what we do. We put you on the spot. You see, you gotta pick one.
Well, it got to be the cook-up pie.
There you go. Cook-up
rice. Be the cook-up.
What peas is your favorite peas in the cook-up pie?
If it comes to the GT cook-up, it got to be the black eye peas.
Black eye, I hear you. Yeah, man.
Interesting, if I may say this, add this. When people hear my accent, they always say to me, oh, you have a wonderful accent. You have a beautiful accent. What's your original language? And I always say to them, Kreolese.
Beautiful. Amen. Hey, you're a man after my own heart, because we are about celebrating and promoting the language of Kreolese. Okay.
That's right.
And
that's who we are. That's our foundation.
A big push on the Karna is to try to get the educators in Guyana to follow the lead of St. Lucia. In St. Lucia, they recently made Creole an official language.
There we go. We have to, brother.
Curriculum. So we've got to do it. Right? So we're all about that. So we're on the same page. So let's turn to the book, man. So congratulations, first of all.
Thank you.
Researching, writing, editing, and publishing this new novel, Rockland Heart Revisited. Again, I've read the book cover to cover. All right. And thank you for sending me an e-copy of the manuscript. You know, that motivated me because I had promised you on Facebook that I would get the book. But then once we agreed on the interview and I got the copy from you, I said, you know what? I got to get this hard copy. It's
Appreciate that.
Read when it's right here looking at me, right? So I told my wife, who, you know, as I told you, she's from Brooklyn.
Right.
I was describing the book to her and she's curious about Guyanese culture. I said, well, listen, this is the book. You will learn so much about Guyana from this book. All right. You learn so much about
a vicarious trip.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So again, congratulations. And the one thing I observed with the book, and clearly you're a student of creative writing. You're a professor of creative writing.
Certainly.
And it shows in the quality of the dialogue, the formatting, the editing. I'm telling you, man, this is top-notch writing. The storylines, the characters. Describe this book or summarize it to the readers who are watching the show right now, the listeners.
Rockland Heart Revisited is a love story, as you say. But love stories don't just drop out of the sky. They have settings. A love story is set in many different dimensions and environments.
Right.
And so it's important for the writer to bring all those elements together to bring out the love story.
Absolutely.
And so Rockland Heart is it's a love story that also shows on a broader level, at a broader level, the challenges that we immigrants, for want of a better word, have to face when we leave our homeland, be it Guyana, Jamaica, Namibia, South Africa, wherever it may be. Love stories, that immigration process affects love, it affects family, it affects communities. Listen, the forced immigration upon us as a people, destroyed the foundation of our family, destroyed the family foundation completely.
Of the country as well,
There we go. And it doesn't stop there because it continued with colonialism and it continues with neo-colonialism. So Rockland Heart, I wanted to bring all these elements into play, as well as, you know, as tell this beautiful love story that happened.
What was the main or premise, I think is the word you use in creative writing, right?
Yeah, it would be to, in the event of say one has to immigrate. One has to immigrate from one's land to another land. One has to be sensitive to every element that immigration entails. At the end of the day, challenges are going to arise. At the end of the day, obstacles are going to arise. One has to be solid in one's beliefs in love, one's beliefs in family, and one's beliefs in just oneself. And understand that it doesn't matter how long we live. There's always that calling, that connection that binds us to where we belong and the people whom we have left behind. So that's the takeaway. Have faith in one's destiny. Have faith in one's calling. Have faith in one's family. Have faith in love itself. As you recall, what's her name? Dionne Warwick sings a song that says, what the world needs now is love, sweet love.
Wonderful.
And
Thank
so
you, my
that's
brother.
the takeaway. Love is the foundation and is at the core of everything we do.
Gotcha. Thank you, my brother. Now let's describe the main protagonists in the book. You know, there's Alwyn and then there's Patterly, but describe the characters and what you wanted to project with these characters, with these two main characters.
Right. In Alwyn, I wanted to capture that young Guyanese man, that focused young Guyanese man,
yeah,
who goes abroad, goes back home, conscious of the brain drain that affects Guyana, and wants to make a difference. If you notice, and I think this question may come up early, sometime somewhere along the line.
Yeah.
But Alwyn speaks formal English for the most part.
Yes, I noticed that.
Kreolese is his foundation. But at the same time, being from Guyana, the only English-speaking country in South America, he studied in a Spanish-speaking country for some time. And so that conglomeration of languages and culture makes him this unique character that he transcends being Guyanese. He's now South American. He is the epitome of a South American, not necessarily a Guyanese.
Gotcha.
So if a South American were to read the book, the South American connect with this man. If a Guyanese or any other English-speaking person were to read the book, they can connect with him. As well as if someone from outside of the region were to read the book, can connect with him, because again, he simplifies it. Or Kreolese would make it difficult for someone who's not versed with Kreolese to understand, get the dynamics of what's going on.
So in terms of a target audience, you're targeting the diaspora, not necessarily Guyana only.
Exactly. The diaspora as well as a broader audience.
Yes. Gotcha. Okay.
Patterly is an enigmatic character. Enigmatic in the sense that she seems humble, but she's haughty at the same time.
Right.
She's not fully high maintenance, but she's influenced by the mentality, the foreign mentality that so many people in these quote unquote, and I don't like the word, so I say quote unquote third world.
Right. Okay.
But as far as I know, it's only one world we live in.
Right.
I don't know what's the third and the second.
Yeah.
So Patterly is that young woman who has it together on the one hand, but can easily fall apart on the other.
Gotcha.
And coming from her background, she's gullible to the foreign mentality, as you can see in the book.
Right.
Her thing was she has to get this foreign wedding dress.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter whether the same dress could be made in Guyana. It has to be boom, branded foreign.
Yeah. Now, since we're on Patterly, right? I noticed you the way you captured her character. While on the one hand she's intelligent, on the other hand she has a temper and she's very feisty.
Yes, right? Indeed.
And unreasonable sometimes, you know.
That's right. Right. Definitely.
So
you see, that's why I said she's enigmatic. She's very, very enigmatic. But her character makes for good reading.
Absolutely.
I've had readers who said to me, I wanted to reach in and strangle her, but at the same time, I find her admirable.
Right. Average writer out there who's trying to write a book, right? What are some tips, some basic fundamental things that someone needs to do in order to really write a decent first novel?
And since most novels are fiction, if not all, my thing is spend time understanding human nature.
Ah.
A novel is people. You have to have characters. And to develop characters wholly and plausibly and palpably, you have to understand human nature. Be an eavesdropper. Be curious. Be a peeping Tom. Even growing up in Guyana, I started keeping a journal.
Okay.
I would overhear conversations.
Yes.
And I will pull out my book if I'm on my way to school and write down sketch stuff, bits and pieces of what I just heard.
Okay.
Because I knew I could use this later on to put into the mouth of a character. And a few times, in fact, in my classes, student would say to me, "Oh, teacher, professor, whatever, I always wanted to write, but I don't have the time. I'm so busy. I'm a mother. I'm a this. I'm a that." And this is my advice. I say, okay, you're busy. You're a mother. You're this. You're a father. Whatever. Here, listen to this tip here. I asked them, how many days are there in a year? 365. Good. If you write one page every day, at the end of the year, how many pages would you have? 365. So what's holding you back? How don't you have the time? I also say to them, perhaps you're intellectualizing too much.
Right.
William Wordsworth, one of my favorite poets of all time.
Yes.
He says, poetry is the spontaneous overflow of emotions recollected in tranquility. If we were to substitute any form of writing or any form of art for poetry, the quote still applies.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that.
So I say to people, don't think about writing. Just write. Just pour your emotions out on the paper or on your tablet or your screen, Google Docs, whatever it may be. And in your own tranquil time, go put it in order. Recollect it in tranquility. It's like you've taken the ore out of the earth.
Yes.
Now go polish it.
That's good advice, guys. Again, you're watching the Karna, Pablo Kreolese Karna. My guest today is JAH G Dover, the author of ROCKLANDHEART Revisited. And on that note, I want to ask you about the title. Now, how did you come up with, and why did you give this title to the book?
One of the things I got from one of the greatest professors I've had along the way.
Yes.
And her name is Indira Ganesan. She's a very popular author. Her two books are very popular, Indira Ganesan. And she said one time in her class that a writer ought to earn his ending, his beginning, and his or her title. It is very, very important that the title of any work captures the essence of that work. And so if we were to go back to Padley, and the reader learns about Padley, her enigmatic character, enigmatic personality,
right?
Lukewarm, cold, you name it, then ROCKLANDHEART seemed like the most appropriate thing to describe the heart of this woman. It's made of rock. She's not budging.
Right.
And so here's where the enigma comes in. Here, as the backstory shows, this woman falls in love. She's also gentle and all that. But then suddenly her heart became like, boom. And I'm like, man, this woman has a heart of rock. Okay, ROCKLANDHEART.
Wonderful. Now that's brilliant. Now that you mentioned it and you broke it down, I can definitely see the connection and the relevance and the power of that topic in terms of capturing the essence of that character. And of course, the revisiting captured the fact that Aloe is going back, you know, to visit that heart, that enigmatic character. So yeah, absolutely. Brilliant choice there, my brother.
I chose the name Padley to honor a childhood friend of mine who passed away in her early teens.
Yes.
From Mocha. Her name is Padley, and I don't like to refer to people in the past tense simply because they're not here physically.
Okay, I
so
got you.
Many people want to say, for example, her name was Padley. No, her name is Padley.
Yeah.
Even though she's not here in the physical.
I got you. Wonderful. Now
and
you
so
also
I wanted to honor her by using her name.
Now you also the acknowledgement here, you write, in memory of my beloved nephew Seymour Watkins Jr. Now, is this character similar to Wallow, to Junior?
Correct.
Okay, definitely. Gotcha. All right.
Definitely.
So in many ways, the characters and storylines, parts of it come from your personal experiences.
That is correct. Absolutely. I don't know if you've ever studied the Latin American boom or looked into the Latin American boom.
No. Tell me about it.
As an artist and as a writer, I recommend you look into the Latin American boom.
Okay, and that's BOOM?
Right. It's an onomatopoeia. Boom, an explosion.
Okay. Yes, yes. Okay.
Right. Now,
that's a poet's word there, boy. Onomatopoeia. That's a poet's word.
Okay. So I'm a disciple of the Latin American boom.
Okay.
The Latin American boom, in essence, is the greatest flourishing of Latin American literature.
Yes.
Okay. Guys like Julio Cortázar, Carlos Fuentes, Gabriel Garcia Marquez, Mario Vargas Llosa, Rosario Castellano, you know, Gabriela Mistral. They are the, as we say, the architects of the Latin American boom. The core of Latin American writing is magical realism. Magical realism.
Okay. Wonderful. Right. I like that. And that it comes out in your book. As you mentioned that, you mentioned the word magical. I want to get to my favorite character, which is Mother Greens. Okay. Now let's talk about Mother Greens. Break Mother Greens down to the audience.
Okay.
Yes.
Mother Greens is the archetypical mentor.
Okay.
As you know, the hero's journey, any great work of art, especially a movie or a novel, there's a hero and there's a villain.
Right. So Mother Greens is Padley's mom for the audience, so they know.
So the audience, Mother Greens is Padley's mom. Mother Greens is the archetypical mentor, right. The comforter. She's the voice of reason.
Yes.
When all things seem chaotic, she's always calm.
Right.
She's calm, and she's always advising to do this, do that, not do this, not do that. The hero needs that mentor on his or her journey.
Right.
Without a Mother Greens, the story won't be as balanced as it is.
Absolutely. She has this spiritual side to her. Describe that for the audience. There's something, she's able to see things.
Definitely, definitely. Mother Greens, I didn't want to straight out say in the story that she's a Obia woman.
I didn't want to say it either, right? Because I wasn't sure, even though Obi has a negative connotation, but to our ancestors, this was something that was positive and that was accepted.
There
but because of the branding and the manipulation of language, and the European influence, you know, we all think that Christianity is on this pedestal and everything else. Right. Okay.
Right.
So yes.
Mother Greens is that typical guru. She's that griot.
Yes.
She has taken the time to develop her senses.
Yes.
Because many people believe that, say for example, a psychic, or even as we may say, an Obia woman, or bruja in Spanish, is somebody special. Yes. What it's no, every human being is born with the same qualities.
Okay.
Every human being has that connection to divinity, because at the end of the day, divinity is within us. We're all created in the image of God Almighty. What it is that they're simply in tune with nature. They're in tune with the cosmos.
Right. I love that. I love that.
As
you can tell, fans of the Karna, there is a heavy thread of mysticism.
There we go.
Spirituality that's woven skillfully into the storyline.
There we go.
And Heart Revisited.
There we go. Mysticism. There we go. Mysticism. What we call metaphysics. As much as I was born and reared in Guyana,
right,
to the age of 17, and then upon graduating from Cuba, I went back and spent 2 more years. So totally, I've only lived in Guyana for 19 years. So there are things I still have to research.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, just the other day, I was writing a story, and the story the storyline moves to Georgetown. And I had to call one of my nephews in Guyana to verify the name of a street.
Yes.
Because as I was saying, since I'm a disciple of the Latin American boom, right, one of the major tenets of Latin American, the literature that came out of the Latin American boom is historicity. In other words, Latin American authors focus a lot on historical fiction.
Okay.
It is impossible to create fiction out of thin air. It is virtually impossible.
Right.
And it makes for a much interesting reader when you can mix in fiction with facts. As the old saying goes, truth is stranger than what? Truth is stranger than fiction?
That's right.
Right.
How much of George is in Alwyn?
Yeah.
If you were to give me a number on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being everything, 1 being nothing, where is it?
Truth be told, I would say a 6 is in there. Okay. A 6 of George is in Alwyn.
In Alwyn. Okay, wonderful, wonderful.
A 6 of George is in Alwyn.
Well, let me tell you, man, that says a lot about George, you know, in terms of the standards and the qualities that I saw in Alo. And of course, you projected him. One of the questions I want to ask you is that, okay, we've got this character, right? This star, this protagonist of your novel, which could be a movie as well. I mean, I can see this being a movie. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Right.
I'm looking at this character and I'm projecting him as being this ideal that I would want to be. But then you break him down. And I was a little disappointed when, you know, he gave in to the flesh, because I was like, man, but about that decision.
That's part of human. That's part of being human.
Right.
You see, and this is what again, going back to my boy, Mario Vargas Llosa.
Yes.
Who just so happens to be a Nobel Prize winner, Nobel Prize in Literature winner. Mm-hmm. He's one of the few Latin American authors who have won the Nobel Prize for Literature. Mario Vargas Llosa says that fiction is, for fiction to be good, for it to be authentic, it has to reflect reality. And reality is all but organized. It's all but very clean cut. It is chaotic.
Yes.
There is betrayal.
Yeah.
There is death. There is
conflict.
This. There's that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
At the end of the day, the human being wants to. He or she strives for perfection.
Right.
But at the end of the day, he or she is human, prone to temptation, prone to weaknesses, to vices, yes, and everything.
Absolutely.
And as we know, novel writing is intent to show human decadence, recognized, and then risen out of that decadence. The human being rising out of that decadence. Okay. That's what novel writing is about.
And okay? That's what Rockland Heart Revisited is about. There is decadence in there, but the aloe rose above it. Padley in the end rose above her enigmatic
there we impulses,
go. Right?
So we have, novel writing is to show growth, and that all humans,
right?
If we were to go the scriptural route,
yes,
none of us is perfect. We've all fallen short of the glory of God.
Let's talk about your skillful use of poetry and excerpts from songs as a communication tool between the two protagonists. Talk about that.
We are GT, yes, the oldies.
Right.
Man, we depend on, it's like sometimes when you listen to certain songs, at least when I was growing up, and I heard certain songs, the Drifters, Benny King, all these nice, beautiful music, I would say to myself, man, I wish I were telling that to this girl or that girl or whatever.
Yeah.
And and we did that too. We communicated our feelings, right, and our sentiments through these music.
Absolutely.
I don't know if you used to do it, but when I was growing up, I used, right, to write letters to the radio station. Requests. I would write my requests and mail them to the radio station.
Okay.
So nice, they can give shout out.
yeah, exactly. Well, we do the same thing here in the Karna, right? At the end of the show, we have a segment called Announcements and Shout Outs. And so I invite fans of the Karna to post a birthday shout out on the Facebook Live feed. And then I'll give them the person a shout out if I get the message from my producer. There is a phrase that I wrote down here that you use. It says, separation only breeds further separation, right? And this speaks to Aloe's decision, who had a really good job. He was doing well. I mean, not very many young men in their early 20s get a private limo, right?
Right.
And so I'm looking at that and I'm thinking things must have been real bad for him to want to leave. So right, talk about what drove him to leave the love of his life and his young son to really go to America and be a cab driver and study as well. Talk about that decision.
I wanted to address the political, and this word keeps popping up, decadence that was occurring in Guyana.
Yes.
But I didn't want to make too much of a strong political statement.
Gotcha.
You see, I wanted the reader to make the decision. Just as you're asking the question, yes, I wanted the reader to ask, why would this man leave this beautiful country, this beautiful job and woman, right, all this to go abroad?
Yes.
The statement I wanted to make is that here is what this man has to go through. And he shouldn't have gone through it had the political situation, which would have affected the economic situation of his homeland, been different.
Absolutely.
You see? And that's the unfortunate thing about countries like our own and other countries.
Right.
As a matter of fact, I just saw on the news where Ireland, is it Ireland or Scotland, are sending back refugees who are refugees from Somalia, sending them back, I think, yes, refugees. And as I read it, I said, man, you see, this is what we have to deal with.
Yeah.
If take, for example, Africa, for example, or even our own country right now, with the exploration of the oil, there is so much wealth in our country. So much wealth with such a small population There is no reason why I should have been here, standing here in this office, in my office, in the high desert of Southern California, when I could have been back home, contributing to the development of my people, contributing to the growth of my country.
I agree. I have made that same exact point many times to many of my colleagues. And the question is, why at this stage of our careers, right? I'm retired, I've got a lot of skills, and I feel I'm sitting here in my home studio and I'm talking to you in your home office, and we've got all these latent skills because I can tell that, you know, you have multiple degrees, you've got multiple skills, you're a professional editor, a journalist, you're an author, you've got something that students in Guyana need, right?
That's right.
And same here, right? How would you go about if you had the resources and the means? What would it take for folks like me and you? And there are many of people like me and you in the audience as well, in the diaspora, who are watching the Karna. What is it going to take for our country to tap into this wealth of experience and expertise that we have in the diaspora?
First of all, we need a unified government.
Okay.
The people in power in Guyana have to really, really take into consideration and not just preach it, but practice one people, one nation, one destiny.
Oh.
The people in power have to do what's necessary to make Guyana a safe place. I am ready.
Yes.
I can pack up right now and head back to Guyana. But I would not leave a relative safe place to go to my homeland where I was born to be vulnerable.
Gotcha. I agree.
Okay?
Yep.
Kudos to those who have stayed behind and have continued the battle. I give them respect. My boy Aubrey Norton, for example.
Yes.
Aubrey Norton and I, you know, we spent many nights and days and a whole year while we were students together in Cuba, talking about the future of Guyana.
Right.
I'm going to say this, and I've never said this in public. One of the main reasons I cut out from Guyana is threat to my life. I escaped twice, being, you know, attempts.
Really? Oh, man.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, twice.
That's scary, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Not once, but twice.
Twice. And so when it got to that point, that's when I said, you know what, this is it. I've had enough of Guyana. Yes, I believe in heroism. I studied in Cuba. I grew up listening, reading and following the lives of Che Guevara, Fidel Castro, you know, Sandino, all these great revolutionary leaders, my boy, Fat Boy, Barnum, you know, these fighters, you know. And so I was gung-ho on following in that same footstep.
Right.
But at the end of the day, when two attempted assassination failed, and I'm not going to get into the details here.
I got you. It's time to leave.
I said to myself, I got a family, I got two children, a wife. Heroism is not going to pay for them, not going to feed and clothe them when I'm gone.
I got you. So while I do admire your courage, as I said, as a creative writer, that body snatches scene in chapter 22, man, that was both terrifying and unexpected, right? But it definitely demonstrates your skill as a creative writer to really add that element into it. And then Mother Green saying that she had some work to do, you know?
Yes.
I'm like, wow. So talk about, you know, your decision to really incorporate that element of the occult, if you will, or the mysticism into the that scene.
Right, because again, magical realism.
Yes, yes.
We grew up in a culture where we hear of all these fantastic stories and these, you know, out of this world experiences that people have gone through.
Yes.
some people will claim, I mean, they will gung-ho claim that this is true, this happened.
Right.
Personally, I've experienced something that still got me questioning, did I dream that? Did I imagine that?
Yeah.
Did that really happen?
Yes.
But we cannot, you see, the thing about life is that there's so much to it that we still don't know.
Absolutely.
Much of it is still speculative.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Who is to say that the human soul cannot transcend the material world at will?
Right.
You see? So, and then if you were to go back to the original African philosophy of animism,
right,
where, you know, God is in everything.
Yeah.
That creative, that creative soul, that source is in everything.
Yes.
Okay. I also wanted to capture the myth, the mythology of Guyanese culture.
Absolutely, and you did that. You did that very well. Now, there's another powerful scene in chapter 23 when Quincy, the son of Patterly and Aloe, he was kind of upset that his parents were quarreling, right? So he held their hand. He said, "Mom, Dad, hold my hands," all right? And he kind of pleaded with them not to quarrel anymore, right? And that was a brilliant scene because I saw it. And the imagery, the way you wrote and you captured that moment was really, really powerful. Talk about your technique, because it's not something that you just randomly did. That was intentional.
Right. Again, you know, we were, whether it's a fortune or a misfortune or an unfortunate thing.
Right.
Most of us were reared in Christianity.
Yes.
And whether we believe it, whether we ascribe to it or not, the knowledge is there. And as we learn from the Bible, what's been hidden from the wise and the prudent will be revealed to the babes and the suckling.
Yes.
Oftentimes, people don't give children the credit they deserve.
Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes, children see things that we adults cannot see because of experience. Children see things through the eyes of love. You see, they experience things through instinct, through love.
Right.
If I recall correctly, in the movie The Crow, where Bruce Lee's son died making the movie.
Okay.
At the end of the movie, at the very end, as the credits are scrolling across the screen, a quote pops up, and it says, "Mother is the word for God in the eyes and hearts of all children." Mother, as a matter of fact, it says, "Mother in the eyes and hearts of all children is the word for God." Something to that nature.
Yeah, I got you. Mm-hmm.
Children see their parents as their gods, their number one gods.
Absolutely.
They don't want to see their parents quarreling and fighting and, you know, creating turmoil. We are their solid rock and their fortress.
Absolutely.
We must always be able to, doesn't matter what we're going through, when we're in the presence of our children, we have to show that sense of fortitude.
Absolutely.
And so at that moment, that foundation was being shaken.
Yes.
And I wanted to show that this child, who loves both of his parents, had the fortitude, he had the wisdom, even at his age, to say, "Listen, please stop fighting."
Now, let's talk about the powers of the character Welly, Rodwell Jr., and the bond that he had with Aloe that they developed. Now, there's some who believe in these forces, as you mentioned, these mystical forces, and many who don't, right? Were you concerned at all And how did that weigh into your decision as to how far you were going to go with the element of mysticism and magical realism?
No, I was not concerned, because at the end of the day, even many Christians,
yes,
who would shun that sort of perspective,
yes,
they sit this they go down and they bow to a God they've not seen.
Amen. Yep.
They bow to they worship a Christ they've not seen.
Right.
You see, and all more power to that. Or I respect all that.
Yes.
So take for example the epitaph. Okay, the epitaph.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the book.
Yeah.
Blessed is the one who came into being before he came into being.
I was going to ask you about that. Absolutely.
Okay. It was Thomas who said Jesus said that. Now, as you may well know, Thomas was one of the apostles that never made it into the 10 Commandments. Thomas was doubting. This is where the saying doubting Thomas came from. Thomas was doubting the existence of Christ.
Right.
But then when certain revelation came to him, he accepted it. We humans, we doubt this and we doubt that and we doubt everything or many things until that moment when it comes home to us and we realize, oh man, this is real. This is real. Absolutely. Many people say, oh man, I had this great or amazing spiritual experience. And I say to myself, I often say to myself, or I would say to them, no, you are a spiritual experience. What we're having is a physical experience.
Right.
A temporary physical experience. We are spiritual beings. From the moment, even before we are conceived.
Yes.
We are spiritual beings.
Absolutely.
Blessed is the one that came into being before he comes into being.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I remember as a young man, as a child growing up, this old Jehovah Witness man used to come around and stand by my gate talking with me. And he would say to me, JAH G, so which one you believe in, creation or evolution? And I would say both.
Yeah.
And he said, no, you can't believe in both.
Yeah.
And even as a child, because I was well read, I read voraciously.
Absolutely.
You see? So I said to him, I said, no, his name is Brother Jump Up. I said, no, Brother Jump Up.
Yeah.
Both.
Yes.
Creation and evolution go hand in hand.
Absolutely.
Evolution shows how creation works.
Yes.
You couldn't get it. But the point I'm making is physics. If you were to take physics, one of the fundamental laws of physics is that energy is neither recreated, it is neither created nor destroyed.
Right.
The spirit is energy.
Yes.
Energy is the spirit.
Absolutely.
Okay? So just as energy is never created, neither created nor destroyed, so is the spirit.
Okay.